In this episode, we talk about Jean Grey, telekinesis, placebo effect, and psychic abilities.
I guess we could talk about, so we always end up talking about fictional nerds. We could talk about
Real
nerds like ourselves, because I don't think we've really done that. I don't think we've really, introduced ourselves a whole bunch. We just kind of go right into the nerd thing without giving, our origin stories.
Nice. Yes, I like that.
Yeah. So
go first.
Yeah, so I was thinking about my origin story. So I feel like I've been a student for my entire life. I was realizing this lately that I graduated high school in 1999. Don't do the math. Then I got my undergrad in 2009, and then just a few weeks ago I got my graduate degree. I got a master. I'm a master of social work. I need a sword now.
You do?
Yeah, so I've been working on that stuff a long time, and it's been an interesting transition from being a student to not being a student, because even though there were breaks in there, that's a really big chunk of time to be in that mindset of being a student and always having things to do and things to study and homework to do. So now that the focus is off of that and also grades and productivity, and I'm kind of in this transition space, it's been very strange. It took us a really long time to get this video started, because my brain, it's like if I'm giving it a lot of things to do, it does a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if I'm not giving it a lot of things to do, it just kind of chills out and
whatever.
Does whatever it wants to do. I guess that the more I have to do, the more I get done. The less I have to do, the less I get done. I've done a lot of yoga this week.
You sure have.
I've done so much yoga, and I've taken so many walks, and I've thought about lots of nerd stuff just because I can. This morning I was washing my hair, and I was intently thinking out of nowhere, which X-Men is my favorite?
Because, that's what you do.
That's what you do. And I'm scrubbing my hair, and I'm it's not Wolverine. But I really like Wolverine. And then I went right into Jean Grey, and I was oh, Jean Grey. So good. She was psychic. She had telekinetic powers. She had the ability to move things with her mind. She had the ability, she was psychic as well. She had all the brain powers, and I don't have a lot of brain powers right now. So I was thinking about that, yeah. So it got me to thinking about the power of the mind.
The power of the mind, yeah. You know what, it's interesting. I've never thought about who my favorite X-Men, I'll have to think about it because I'm not really sure.
But I'm still not sure.
Jean Grey is fascinating to me. I'm really excited for the upcoming Phoenix movie. Dark Phoenix?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. I'm kind of I don't know how I feel about this, X-Men kids. I'm putting it in quotes like that because...
Right, when Muppets and Muppet
that's
babies.
Exactly it. That's exactly it.
X-Men babies.
I feel like that was the first show, Muppet Babies, to ever take, my favorite characters, and then all of a sudden we see them as babies, and I'm this isn't
we do
Kermit.
That?
But with Muppet Babies, you didn't have new actors. I mean, there were Muppets, there were probably different voices or whatever.
Yeah.
But, this is...
They just added in Nanny.
Yeah, right. And so now with the X-Men... And this isn't a new thing. The X-Men Kids has been happening for several years now.
Yeah. And you think of, Supergirl or any other superhero, and then they make, a little...
A mini-me version. The baby. Yeah. But, I guess that's what we did with... we came out with... We had the original Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, and then we had them as babies, kind of.
Yeah.
We see them grow up, so...
Darth Vader babies.
Yeah. Yes, and we've pretty much seen all of Anakin's story. I'm not sure what left there is to know.
I don't think much.
But there are some people out there that want more Anakin.
Goodness. You got his birth to his death.
I mean, yeah.
Don't you? I can't think of
And he's even a Force
ghost,
ghost, so damn.
Yeah. They even added him in.
Yeah.
I don't know. We get a lot of Obi-Wan, too. We don't see Obi-Wan as a youngling.
No, but, I mean, we've got him... If you watch the animated Clone Wars, we do see more of Anakin as he's growing up.
And Obi-Wan...
and then we have him in episode
Obi-Wan
1.
probably in his 20s or 30s. I don't know. It's a cartoon. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. But in episode 1, though, him with Qui-Gon, I certainly like that. His Obi-Wan's battle with Darth Maul is one of my favorite lightsaber scenes.
Maybe we could recreate it.
Maybe we could. Coming up soon. We'll see. Do you know how to flip?
I'll have to work on that.
We're gonna have to work on our levitation.
I know. I have a lot of mind things to work on before I can get to that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any telekinetic powers.
I've been working on mine. I've been really... Because in the book that I'm writing, Black Unicorn, everything is set... the whole thing is set in a universe that has... That telekinesis is just like, that's what everybody has. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there just as Yoda says... when they're on Dagobah and trying to lift the fighter jet, the thinger plane out of the water.
The thinger planer.
Thing out of the water. Basically his point is that it doesn't matter how big the thing is. But it's interesting to think about, like, what if we could have those powers? Like, there are things about the mind, about the brain, that we haven't yet tapped into.
Yeah, there's
and what if we could?
I kind of feel like a lot of this stuff in our lifetime we could see more of. There's a book that probably people that are into yoga have probably read, the Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff. But then there's the Day of Piglet. But in the first one, they talk about intuition and being able to basically hear animals or hear what other people need. And they kind of point out that what we might think of as psychic abilities are just being more tuned into ourselves and to other people. And it's actually something that we all have available to us, but we as a society are so hyper-focused on being busy.
Yeah.
The busy back sons. Like, don't be a busy back son. Busy back soon. That we've kind of shut that part of our brain off that can be intuitive and not necessarily in the Jean Grey way, psychic or telekinetic, but we have some of those abilities now. But yeah, I think we're starting to, every year we learn a little bit more about the brain, and neuroscience is just like expanding so quickly that I feel like we'll see more and more instances of people that are able to be intuitive in those ways that we would have maybe like 30 years ago thought was like witchcraft or, like woo-woo.
Well, I mean, there are all of these sort of confidential reports that are coming out talking about what our military has actually done. Like, if you've ever seen the George Clooney and Obi-Wan, the hell's the actor's name?
No, not Jude Law. Oh my goodness. My brain needs more to do.
So, what is the movie
The Men
called?
Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah, I was going to say Men Smiling at Goats, but they're staring at them.
They could smile at them too. I love that movie. That's a really good movie.
Yes, and the fact is that our military has done tests like that where they had subjects picture or say, like, they found like where the Russian silo was or wherever, and they've just kept those things hush hush. But they've done that kind of thing.
That's a good movie. There's a lot of yoga in that movie,
and a lot of George Clooney.
Clooney, Ewan McGregor. Yeah, that's a really good movie. That made me think of Ghostbusters.
Did it?
Everything makes me think of Ghostbusters.
How did you get to Ghostbusters?
Those things make me think of Ghostbusters.
Oh.
So at the very beginning of Ghostbusters, Bill Murray's character
Okay.
is testing the couple for psychic abilities, and he's holding up a card, and if they get it wrong, he shocks them. But he gives all of the answers to the pretty blonde girl, but he just shocks the hell out of her boyfriend. Yeah.
Is that actually her boyfriend? I thought it was just some nerd that walked up. I mean, either way.
If I remember, I got the impression that they were a couple, but I could be wrong. But I feel like I know a lot about Ghostbusters.
Yeah. but it is funny, like the whole pretty girl. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if I practiced enough, I could be psychic.
Isn't that a part
Pretty
of
sure I could.
yoga though? That going inward sensory withdrawal. I mean,
yes, and in some of the yoga books, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, he does talk about whoever actually wrote it.
Yeah,
they talk about levitation and all of that.
Yeah,
I mean, and the yogis who have said that they knew when they were going to die. Yogananda apparently knew when he was going to die.
I feel like that crosses over to Buddhist monks as well, where there's a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there's a lot of the meditation crossovers there.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the power of the mind. And, and we have a ton of, I mean, are they all superheroes? I suppose that's what everybody is.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, the Marvel world has a lot of that. And we were kind of discussing before, too, that in terms of superheroes, as far back as Superman, kind of like the first superhero from the 30s and on up, we always, much like the droid conversation that we recently had, we give our heroes the capabilities and the abilities that we wish we had, or things that we wish we had more of. So within like the Marvel universe, there are a ton of characters whose main powers are of the mind, so telekinesis and psychic abilities. We've got, Xavier, Professor Xavier's a good example. Mantis from the more recent things. She's an empath.
She I think is fascinating. And then we were talking about her prior to turning on the camera. And do you have your book?
Yeah, this is a really great book. Written by Lorraine Sink, illustrated by Alice Zhang, Marvel's Power of a Girl. It's really good. It gives you the backstory for...
Oh, you flipped right to it.
I did. It gives you the backstory for how many? 65 of the Marvel characters that are women. It gives you their backstory. It gives you their powers. So Mantis, she's an empath. She's telepathic. She has cosmic awareness. She's also a gifted martial artist,
which is what we don't see in the movies.
Yeah, they don't show that. Her husband was from the tree planet that essentially like a Groot kind of thing. So she ended up having a half tree baby named Sequoia.
Oh, how interesting. I definitely have to get that book. Yeah. That looks really cool.
So it's a really fun book. They go into so many different characters that maybe people have heard of, maybe they haven't. They start out with Captain Marvel, and I was really interested in her origin story too, because she has been around a really, really long time.
Yeah,
like a super long time.
She's gone through a lot of changes.
Yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of different reiterations. But yeah, there were a lot of Marvel ladies that have psychic and telekinetic abilities. Within the X-Men world, outside of the X-Men world too, but within the X-Men world is pretty heavy on the telekinesis and I was just thinking then, of course, like it can't possibly just be Marvel. Of course it's not. But like, so in Last Jedi,
We've got the whole thing going on with Rey and Kylo Ren.
Yeah, there's a connection.
That sort of, that communication that they've got going on. And then, I mean, obviously telekinesis with the Jedi and using the Force.
And being able to suggest things using the Jedi mind tricks. Get into somebody's head and convince them to do something other than what they were going to do.
Well, and even, I think one of my... It's not a secret. Like, I absolutely love Force Awakens. And one of my favorite scenes is when Kylo Ren has Rey in the chair and he's trying to extract...
Oh, yeah.
And
she reads his mind.
Yes. I love it. Like, it actually makes me cry because here's my theory on that scene is that, like, he's explaining to her, he's describing to her what he sees in her head, like the little island and you know, the whole thing with her parents or whatever. And I feel like that's actually, he's kind of describing his own life.
Yeah.
Like his own experience because he's not close with his parents, you know, and his way of sort of isolating himself from people. And it's really kind of sad. But I think it's a very touching cousin communication. I'm pretty sure they're cousins. I'm going on the record for saying that. They're
related. They have to be. I've been thinking that since the beginning. I agree. Yeah, some crazy conspiracy theories going.
Aaron thinks she's a clone of Palpatine. Whatever. I don't know. I know there was some cloning stuff.
That's a hard right, though, if that was what they were going to do. Or a hard left. I don't know. Either way, you're going...
This is a big turn.
Because then... Yeah. That would make us have to think back on a lot of different things. I don't know. I figure whatever they do next could possibly undo some of the things that happened in The Last Jedi, because a lot of it didn't really make sense. So
yeah, but I know that there are people that argue on both sides. I was talking with one of my students who would actually be very upset if they conveniently made Rey actually have Skywalker bloodline.
There are a lot of people that are like, no, she can't be a Skywalker.
And that the whole point is for her to not be. Yeah. You know, just kind of like the way at the end with the little broom and all that. Like, you can be Force.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're related. But
I don't know what I want. Honestly, I'm just happy that JJ's doing...
I agree.
I'm just glad that JJ is back. I love JJ Abrams.
I know.
He'll fix it.
He probably lives in a castle made of gold at this point.
Oh, I'm sure. But he still seems to remain humble.
Yeah.
At least he's good at acting like he's humble. I think it's legit.
I think so. He's living the nerd dream, though. Can you imagine? I'm not exactly sure how old he is. He's maybe, like, a little bit older than us, and he got to make Star Wars and Star Trek movies.
God. He did something right in life. He really did.
And then, you know, made some of the most memorable TV shows.
Oh my God. Time. Yeah, dude. At this point, J.J. Abrams is a treasure.
Yeah. I feel safe in agreeing with that.
Yeah, like, I feel like, I mean, just as... Can we talk about this now? Yes. The tribute to Stan Lee at the beginning of Captain Marvel.
That was so nice.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the tears were already going. But I feel like JJ's earned his... earned it up there. I feel like he's up there with George Lucas, and I'm just saying it.
He didn't make Jar Jar Binks.
That's true. That's true. That is true. But some of the other folks on the list. So we talked about. Well, before we started recording, we were talking about Vision.
Yeah.
But his powers all come from his Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it still counts.
Yeah.
Whether they're born with it or not.
Right.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's an Infinity Stone.
Not a sponsor. Neither of them. We're not sponsored by Infinity Stones or Maybelline.
We need them as a sponsor. Just all of the Infinity Stones.
We
could
do
ads. Today's episode is brought to you by the concept of time.
Yes.
It's all an illusion.
Well, It is really.
It's stretchy and elastic.
Yes. And it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, I wanted to talk, but you hadn't seen Legion. So Legion is at this point, 2-season series. I believe it was on FX. So it follows David, who, according to the comic book, he's one of the New Mutants. So from like the 90s, if we want to go super duper nerdy, because our original mutants are the ones we all know. It's like Cyclops and Wolverine and Jean Grey and Storm and all of those.
And I know them because I watched the animated series when I was a kid.
Yeah, so those are like the original mutants. The New Mutants, there's some other side stories. So they don't get into this at all in the show. But Legion is the son of Xavier.
Who was his mom? Do we know?
She was an archaeologist in Jerusalem. So there's a side story where Xavier was in Jerusalem and he teamed up with this woman and they gave birth to Legion. David is his name, but he spent the first 30 plus years of his life living in mental hospitals because he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder, which used to be like multiple personality disorder.
And that's what
Glass, yeah.
And,
with
I've now seen all three, and all of a sudden I can't think of the names of any of them.
Because Samuel L. Jackson is the Glass.
Is Glass.
Yeah.
And then, so who the hell's the actor?
Well, Bruce Willis is in it.
Yeah, but then the one he's actually the actor I'm thinking of is the one who plays the new Xavier.
Oh yeah, he's so.
And his name just fell out of my head.
Oh, what is happening? Let's just picture him. And then you can use your psychic abilities or Google because my brain isn't working at all. And I literally just watched this movie like last week, like the most recent one.
Yeah. Anyway, so that guy. Where was that?
Oh.
Anyway. Oh,
dissociative identity disorder.
Yes.
DID.
Yes.
Yeah.
DID.
So that's an interesting take on it too, because he believes in that movie that he is a superhero.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a switch of Legion, when in fact he has this dissociative disorder. But yeah, in Legion he ends up being abducted from the hospital and sent off to work with some other mutants who also have the same abilities, so they teach him how to harness his powers so he can teleport as well.
Oh my god, that's cool.
Yeah, so they teach him how to teleport and use his telekinesis and no. Teleportation would be pretty good.
That would be awfully convenient, and I wonder.
I would ghost so many things if I could teleport.
I mean, seriously.
Like, I don't want to have to say goodbye.
Yeah, well, I don't like saying goodbye. I'm not good at it at all. Like,
just
I don't
teleport.
like hugging goodbye. I just like...
I don't either. I'm glad to hear somebody else say that.
Yeah, no.
Because, my husband, he likes to make sure that he gives everybody at the party a hug before we leave. So then it turns into, like, 2 hours before we've actually left. And I just want to, like, fade away and hop in my car and not have anybody realize I left. Because there's always, like, the stuff around. Like, oh, are you leaving? You're not leaving.
Yes.
Like,
of course I'm leaving. That's why I said I'm leaving.
Yeah, and then you have to have a thing that you're gonna say, and then maybe like, don't leave yet. Like, oh, I have to be up early in the morning.
You make some shit up. Just to leave.
You're like, I just want to get in my jammies, dude. I don't care what time it is.
Right? Yeah, it's 4:30. I gotta go.
Yeah, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. Gotta hit that early bird special and get my PJs on.
Well, and that's what I feel like. Some of it is sort of like I just don't like the whole mess around it, but also it's probably by the time I've said that I'm leaving, I've probably passed the point where I should have left.
Totally.
Like, I'm probably too hungry. I'm too tired.
There's a lot of
I should have done it like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, same here. There's usually a lot of thoughts that are like, well, maybe now Maybe now?
Yeah.
Maybe
And I should do it. Like, the instant it comes to my mind, that's when I just need to get up and be like, I gotta go.
Boundaries.
And, I mean, people already know that I'm weird as hell. They're just gonna be like, well, Burg, she's rude and weird, so I guess she's leaving.
That's why I just leave and I don't say anything.
Where's Lauren?
Who cares? Go on with your lives. Go on without me. Yeah, I've gotten to the point in life where I'm just, like, fully owning all of it. Like, I've had a few conversations with people recently where I say things that are so nerdy, and I kind of, like, hear myself, or if it's in text, I see what I've said, and I'm like, oh! But you know what? I'm going to write it out. Whereas, like 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know if I want to say that I know this out loud, because then everybody's going to know what a huge nerd I am.
Yeah, and at this point, and now you're on a podcast.
I know! So,
you can't hide your nerdiness anymore.
I know, and that's kind of, and if we're going with my origin story, taking me to now, this podcast has made me even more open about being nerdy, not just on camera, but just, like, out in all facets, because we got to do our research.
Well, that's right.
We gotta buy cool books like this so that we can learn more about the Marvel characters, so that we can talk about them. We gotta read more about the Star Wars universe. What is the book that you have? It's a very similar book. It's like the Women of Star Wars.
That's exactly what it's called.
That's a really good one too.
It is really cool. With good artwork.
Yeah, the artwork's really excellent, and it goes over like the origins and all of the special things about them too.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
And it's a decent chunk of people in that book too. It's not like 4 pages. Like, there were 4 women in Star Wars. No,
there are a lot more, because they go into like the animated series and things like that.
Yeah, that's another good one. So if you're curious about stuff like that, we're getting more of these things now, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because we want that.
And the thing is, with like Star Wars and Marvel and these other universes, these women have always been around. They just maybe didn't have the movies. They didn't have the same money being thrown at these characters. Like, if you go through like the Marvel book and you see the origins of some of the characters, they're from the very beginning. A lot of people have noticed and kind of been bringing up, like, there are all these women and things now. There are all these female superheroes, but the thing is, if you go back and you look at the origins of these characters, they've been around a really long time, and it's not new. It's just we're getting money, this similar amounts of money thrown into movies to show these characters. So in terms of like characters that are female, or characters that are black or Asian or anything else,
transgender,
like especially lesbians. Especially with Stan Lee. We're both taking a course on comic books through the Smithsonian, and it's going into the history of comics, and Stan Lee does a lot of it before he passed on, and Stan Lee had introduced these kinds of characters since, as early as the 60s. Mm-hmm. He put in one of the comic books, I can't remember which one, it was like a statement on bigotry and sexism as Stan Lee and as Marvel saying, essentially, we won't stand for this. It was he even used the word social justice. A lot of people like to throw around the word like social justice warrior and make that into a bad thing, but even as far back as the 60s, and then even in the 30s with Superman, they talked about Superman's quest for social justice and keeping things, balanced and just. So none of this is new.
No.
We're just finally starting to... so if this is my scale, here's like women and people of color. So we're like, oh.
Yeah.
And with each time, we kind of like come back up to like your Thor, your Superman, who I love. We've talked about Thor like all the time.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
But it's still like every time we get kind of like closer to the middle, we've got all these people like, no, get back down. Like, but these characters aren't new.
No.
Like, 10, 15 years from now, people are probably not even, especially people that are born like now, aren't even going to think about this stuff.
Right. Hopefully, yeah. I can't even imagine. That blows my mind, that thought of growing up in, and this is what I mentioned about Captain Marvel, was I can't imagine being a girl growing up right now, a little girl growing up right now, with that kind of role model already.
It's a lot different. And I even think of, my sisters are a lot younger than me, and my youngest sister is 18 years younger than me, and so she's really grown up in a completely different world, because a lot of times I'll talk to her about issues around, if some new right is bestowed upon the American people, like when they passed gay marriage. Her response, and the people of her age is kind of like, well, yeah, why wouldn't that be a thing?
Right.
Because they've kind of like, they kind of grew up.
No brainer.
Yeah, I think they've kind of grown up in an era where it's like more sensical, maybe more progressive. So when things like that happen, or when you have a bunch of female characters, they're like, I don't see what's big deal. And like, why wouldn't there be a bunch of female characters? Because like women are half of the world. It's like, yeah, I know, but you don't understand. Like we had like 5 cartoon women. Maybe when I think of my childhood, I can think of She-Ra. I can think of Chitara and the Thundercats.
Yep.
My mind may have stopped there because there wasn't a lot for me. I was talking to my husband about I am very into like fighting video games. Like I was really into Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, so I was like 9, 10, 11, something like that, when Street Fighter 2 came out, Chun-Li is your only female character option. Yep. And I remember being so excited about that. That was like the coolest thing to me. And I always, always, always picked Chun-Li.
Yeah.
And I still would to this day. But I just thinking about that as well, that like I had one option, and that was usually how it was. Yeah. Is that it was like, so there were like maybe 10 total characters you could choose from, but one woman.
Right.
And then there would always kind of have something that they kind of like took away from the one woman character that made her less powerful than like Ryu or Blanca or something like that.
Yeah. Or, well, we did also have in the X-Men, we had women in the X-Men.
Yeah.
So I had some of that, like Jean Grey, there was Jubilee.
Storm.
Yeah.
Rogue.
I think, you know what?
They were always heavy on the mind stuff and less on the body stuff, which I think is fine and accurate. Like, I always like to see a really strong, like, physically strong female character. That's always really cool, but I think that to see, like, if you're going to be really accurate, usually women's brains are just wired for certain things a little bit more. We have research of that. Not even like a men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of a thing, but it's just like even just like language skills and things like that. The ability to communicate. Like the brain is just different from person to person. So it's interesting to see like that's what is chosen as the main thing. Although the page is open to Valkyrie here, and Valkyrie's main skills revolve around being really strong.
Butt kicking,
right?
Oh
there. Yeah, she's
a butt kicking angel.
Yeah, but her skills are being a fierce warrior and an accomplished Pegasus rider.
I would imagine that would probably be challenging.
Yeah, I'm afraid of regular horses.
What was it that? Well, yes. What was it? Were we looking at something together where there's the college who has Quidditch?
Oh, yeah, and it's a PVC
around.
pipe. It's not even a broom. It's a PVC pipe, and then they've added a ball. But then they're, like, riding around on the PVC pipe like it's a broomstick. And I don't know what kind of, like, guards or protection they're using for it, because it was all guys they showed in the picture.
Yes.
So
I feel like, number one, brooms. If you're going to bother with Quidditch,
brooms. Why would you use PVC
I'm sure
pipe?
they're back heavy though, because of having the actual broom on the back and holding it like with one hand. And since, well, when they're flying, they still have to hold on to it.
Yeah.
But you can't play Quidditch with your broom, with your not lightsaber, with your magic wand. You can't play Quidditch with your wand, can you? No.
You have to hold on to your, usually they're holding on with both hands and then doing other things.
And they're yes. So they had to do that at Hogwarts. They had to do that in Harry Potter. Hold on to it.
Yeah, so I don't know
as a broom.
Why would you sub out a PVC pipe?
But yes, I agree. But that was my whole thing was that like I feel like, I hope that they have some...
A cup.
Yes.
The cup for playing Quidditch. And it looked like...
Quidditch cup.
It's gold.
Wow.
I was thinking, it looked like it's a full contact sport, too, which, like, you add in PVC pipe, you add in, it looked like a ball that was kind of similar to a croquet ball, and then you add in, like, being able to, like, check somebody? Like, what?
Yeah.
Quidditch sounds dangerous. I mean, it looks like it was dangerous in the movies.
Yeah, you could actually fall.
Fall out of the sky.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, one of your buddies would, like, use their wand and make you not fall. Yeah. I would hope. But they never really talk about that.
Yeah. And couldn't your broom come and get you? Like, if you got it to just...
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions.
So many questions.
So many questions about this Quidditch in real life. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I want to do it. I think I'd rather learn how to use a lightsaber.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I think we shall.
I think we should do that.
Let's. At some point, we do need to mention our sponsors.
Oh, yes.
CS Coffee. csinstant.coffee. They have little individual packets of instant coffee that you can take with you camping or to make a smoothie. You know what? I bet that would be really good. Like, there are all sorts of desserts where they're made with coffee.
Yeah.
And, maybe not do this, but maybe, why not? I just was shopping the other day, and there was a conditioner for your hair that had coffee in it.
Oh, yeah. It's supposed to stimulate circulation.
Yeah. I mean, it does in the rest of me when I drink coffee.
Yeah. They use caffeine in, like, face creams and stuff, too. That's, like, a thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely use it. I've made cupcakes before that you had to use instant coffee for. Like, it's a mocha cupcake.
Yeah.
All kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
But my favorite thing is that all the packaging is biodegradable and that they plant a tree
Makes you feel
if you
good.
buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then use the code TREE, T-R-E-E, and you get 20% off of your first order. And then you just love the coffee and you feel good drinking it.
Yeah. And then you feel good after you drink it because you have coffee in your body now.
And I bet your mind works better. And that gets us right back into the power of the mind.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Brought to you by coffee. This was not brought to you by coffee. This is brought to you by not enough coffee.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, goodness.
I should have made coffee. I apologize.
It's okay. I'll get through it. So we got a little off track talking about Quidditch. We're talking about the power of the mind.
We were going to talk about placebo effect.
Yeah.
Can we?
We could still talk about that.
Sure.
If we want to talk about... So it's like Lauren's book corner.
I did like how many books you brought. I feel shameful.
This is how I roll. Everywhere I go, I've got a stack of books. So this is by Joe Marchant, Cure, A Journey into the Science of Mind Over Body. And it looks like this. This is about... kind of what it sounds like it's about. So the power of your mind over your body, and not necessarily in a positive psychology kind of way, because there's a lot of science coming out now that is kind of putting out that positive psychology is nice and it's a great idea, but it doesn't work for everybody, and our brains aren't really wired for that. Our brains are wired for more neutral and reality-based things. So I think we've talked about this before. So if you feel like we're wired for avoiding danger and picking out the negatives.
Oh.
We're really more wired for the negative than we are the positive. So if you try to shove a positive belief into your head in place of a negative belief, there's a part of your brain that's going to be like, this is disingenuous. I don't know how I feel about this.
How unfortunate that we'd more likely respond to a negative.
We hold on to it, yeah. So if we had 5 positive things happen in a day and 1 negative thing happen, we'll have the negative one. But I think it's just part of a survival instinct. And I think that as we learn more about the brain and we learn more about mindfulness and meditation especially, we can kind of like hack these things as well. But in terms of mind over body, this particular book was a little bit more looking at the placebo effect, which is something that in the yoga world, especially if you go into your yoga studios like especially larger yoga studios, there's a lot of things going down that could be seen as the placebo effect, or there are a lot of things where people are asking, what's the science behind this? Well, for yoga, meditation, we have science that shows that we're using the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is a cranial nerve, goes from our cranium down to our guts, and it stimulates our relaxation response. So that's a real thing. But there's some other things that people are wondering, are they placebos? This book kind of looks at the fact that placebos aren't always a bad thing. In fact, they were looking at different trials of medications. One group was a control group, one group got the medication. For some of the studies, the people that got the placebo did better than the people that got the medication. And in some of these studies, they created a third group where the third group was getting a placebo and being told they were getting a placebo. The group that got the placebo was told they were getting the placebo, did better than everybody.
That's fascinating.
So they use all of these different tricks. So depending on what the thing was, and they didn't tend to use placebos for things like cancer.
Right.
So this is going to be more if you're chronic pain, depression, anxiety, things like that, especially pain. Pain was a big one. So they found that if anxiety was the thing, that a blue pill made people feel more calm, like it was going to work better. If it was for pain, a red pill for some reason.
It's very Matrix.
So even the colors of the pills had associations in people's minds, to the point where there are companies that only make placebos. So you can go online and you can specifically request a placebo for the thing that you want to go away.
I love it.
They also found that the more people paid, the better they felt as well. So it really showed that in a lot of instances, placebo was stronger than the actual thing. And they found that in this, I was very disturbed. As somebody that works in mental health, I was very disturbed by this, and also I want to learn more. They were saying in terms of antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, that the placebo effect was usually stronger than the actual medication for anxiety and depression. So this is not to say like your bipolar, your antipsychotics, things like that. So they were not talking about that. They were talking more about levels of anxiety and depression. So like good old-fashioned... Good old-fashioned panic attacks.
Yeah.
If you took a blue pill and you knew it was a placebo, but the bottle says it will make your panic attack go away, people's panic attacks were stopping when they took those pills.
That's fascinating. I mean, the mind really is more powerful than we give it credit for. And here, so in the yoga world, this is what I struggle with a lot, is talking about these things and not sounding woo-woo.
It's almost impossible sometimes. That's why I start a lot of sentences with, there was a study that showed.
Yeah.
And I know how I sound, but there's a reason why I'm doing it. It's because I'm one of the people that if somebody just comes up to me and says, plops a crystal in my hand and says, this crystal cures cancer, I'm probably going to be like,
BS.
All right, thanks for the cool rock. But I mean, I'm even wearing like beads right now that are supposed to help with anxiety. It's rhododendron.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I'm not going to like get into this because I know we have a lot of yogis that are like, crystals work, this works, this crystal does this thing. I know it. I feel it. I don't feel like wearing this is going to cure me of anxiety, but it's pretty and it makes me feel good to look at it.
So then maybe it's going to cure your anxiety.
So it's going to make me feel happier and better if I'm wearing something that's pretty to look at. So did this crystal just decrease my anxiety because it's a crystal, or do I just really like to wear it because it's pretty?
And does it matter?
Does it matter? That's the important part.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of studies on, because a lot of people are getting really into crystals now. Like even for babies, people are buying amber. And putting it on their babies for teething pain.
My cousin's wife, she swears by it, and she says that it works.
Well, this particular book gets into that, and it gets into some other things too. And a lot of times what they're finding is it's the positive intent of the parent that's being put out to the child. They studied this type of thing with parents of children with severe autism, and they were giving placebos to the children. But the parents' intent and the way that they interacted with the child as they gave them the medication or they gave them the crystals or whatever was so positive that the child was able to feed off of that positivity and love and just overall being cared for.
Yeah.
That in terms of kids with severe autism, they made better eye contact. They started talking a little bit more. Their body symptoms calmed down. And it was just the intent and the focus of the parent.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, even so, we're talking about the woo-woo-ness of crystals. However, and crystals are something that you can see and all of that. But then flip that, and the way that you just described that, though, was the positive energy, the positive intention from the parent, which is something that's
huge.
But it's not tangible.
Yeah.
You can't see, I mean, maybe you can. Maybe we don't have the technology to see it yet. But, you know, you can't see positive energy. You can't quantify it.
No.
But that's a thing. I mean, why isn't that woo-woo? And I guess maybe some people would actually think that that's woo-woo.
Right. They want to see the science behind it. But I think that you could even argue that you can see the science behind it if you're studying the brain and maybe studying the hormone levels in the body.
Yeah.
Because if you're studying, you know, the neural pathways, what lights up, what doesn't, if you're studying how much oxytocin is in the bloodstream when this is happening, if you're studying like any kind of endorphins that are happening. There was a man in this book who was a scientist, and he used to make medication, and he got cancer. He gives himself a placebo every single morning, and he knows that it's a placebo, but he has a routine that he does where he drinks this special, like, nutrient-rich drink, and he kind of meditates on it, and he takes the pill, and he gives it kind of like a good intention that it's going to help his body, and he's lived longer than anybody said he would live. He knows it's a placebo. He's made it for himself. He actually makes the little bottles for himself. Yeah. So it just kind of shows you, again, even going back to yoga, the power of your yoga practice over your life. So maybe, we've talked about this before, maybe you get one of those older yoga books and it says, Paschimottanasana will heal bowel cancer or something like that. Because there are some claims like that where you're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe if we looked at it a different way, maybe our relaxation levels lower our inflammation in our bodies.
Yeah. Well, and Paschimottanasana also does have a gentle pressure on the bowels.
And that was the
that's
reasoning.
A good bowel movement there.
Yeah. So when you see things like that, when you're like, this yoga pose heals this thing, my initial reaction is like, But if you want to think about it in different ways, if you're reducing your cortisol, you're reducing your inflammation, you're breathing more, maybe you're eating better because you're doing yoga. Maybe it doesn't matter if you believe that or not, because maybe all the other little things you're doing as a result of doing your forward bend every day are setting into motion something that is going to make you better in some way or extend your life.
It's amazing. It's amazing either way. And I think I would like to think that I'm putting positive energy maybe into the crystal, sort of like packaging it up, and I'm going to take that with me.
Yeah.
And it's in there, because if we can't see positive energy, how do you know that I didn't just put it into the crystal?
Even when we're little kids, we tend to have our favorite toy, or we have our
I
stuffed
talk to them.
animal.
I'm an only child, so
I
talk to them.
Gave them all names. I talked them in with me, and I like, they all had some kind of backstory.
Oh, yep.
If I lost one, it was like the end of the world. It was terrible. So we have this ability from the time we're born, essentially, to put what we want and what we need into external objects and believe that they can have powers that maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe it doesn't matter that they don't if we believe that they do.
Yeah.
So
belief is a powerful thing.
Yeah. So maybe we are all psychic and have telekinetic powers. We're just not doing it right yet.
Yeah.
I'm moving this microphone with my mind. You just can't see it.
It's moving really fast.
Yeah, it's so fast.
Oh, did you see it? It went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't see it on the camera because
the camera's slower than what's actually happening.
Oh man, it's so real.
We don't know. All right. That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go longer, but maybe we'll just blend it into the next one.
Or we can ask people if they have examples. Yeah, maybe yoga rebels. What are some examples of things that maybe you kind of sort of suspect or know don't have magical properties, or they're not really healing you, but maybe it's a ritual you have. Maybe it's a tea that you drink at night, and in your mind, if you don't drink that tea, and I'm not talking about like obsessive compulsive disorder, so in terms of rituals, but like maybe there's a thing you do. It's like, I have to drink this tea before bed because this makes me go to sleep faster. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But what are some things? Yeah, what are some things that you do, especially people in the yoga community? I think we're all like,
we've got our things.
We're all a little more susceptible to this because we want to feel as good as we do in yoga class all the time. I think true. So we're always looking for other things that are going to do that, even though it's like impossible. But that's a whole other story.
That is a whole other story. Well, if you enjoyed this, please click like or subscribe, and hop on over to patreon.com/yogarebels. Check us out there. Anybody who becomes a patron will get access to new additional features, videos that I still need to compile, I will admit. However,
we'll figure it out.
Yes, and thank you to Jimmy, who's our first Patreon patron. We appreciate you very much.
A Star Wars and Star Trek nerd.
What? Yay! And thank you to you, Yoga Rebels. In the next video, we'll actually talk about what it takes to be a Yoga Rebel.
Yeah, you'll want to know about it. Maybe we need like a secret decoder ring, like,
and hand signs.
Yeah.
And gang signs.
There'll be mudras, just mudras.
Yes. All right, and so keep the rebellion alive.